Humankind cannot gain anything without first giving something else in return. To obtain something of equal value must be lost. That is alchemy's first law of equivalent exchange. This well-known formula that everybody seems to agree with is perfectly explained in an anime that I really appreciate, Fullmetal Alchemist. To sum up, the main point of this fiction is to show that in order to gain something, you have to give something else in return, which is honestly a principle that we seem to agree with in today's world. You want a fit body? Then eat healthy and do some sports. You want a good grades? Then attend your classes and study consistently. And honestly, I do agree with it to some extent. It is totally normal to put an effort when you want to achieve something. However, what can we say when the effort is no longer just effort, but just pain? After all, Karl Popper proposed that a theory could be regarded as legitimate science if it could be falsified. And this is the falsifiability theory of Popper. So that means that even the law of equivalent exchange must have its exceptions. If you have been using social media lately, then you certainly had some toxic motivation content. You know, the wake up at 5 a.m., hit the gym every day, cut carbs, delete social media, sleep 5 hours, and stuff like that. Content that promotes that in order to live, you must feel like death. Which, when you think about it, it is a pretty ironic way of living, isn't it? But seriously, can we really consider those intense routines as living? Can I be proud of myself and satisfied with my existence if my whole life is about how I'm not doing enough and I'm always behind? Knowing that most of the time you will burn out if not being deeply depressed due to the intense routine that you try to follow. This is why I hate this content. And don't get me wrong, I've been there. Especially as a naturally stressed person, I've been there. You know, at some point, I wanted to maximize every second of my day. Every second. To the point that if at the end of the day I didn't feel like crawling to bed, then that meant that I did nothing. I ruined my day, man. Every day had to be special, every day had to be a gain, a plus. Which is still the case sometimes, honestly. It's really not that easy to get out of here. Learning a new fact wasn't enough. I had as well to hit the gym, eat well, studying, as well as doing some chores, while also hanging with my friends to feel that I socially did my job. And of course, I had also to enjoy myself a minimum by watching some series, for example, in order to feel that I figure it at all, first, and second, also in order to feel that the whole day I wasn't just enslaved to an idea of success that I had to attain. And you know, when you want to do everything, you end up by doing nothing correctly, not even sleeping. And this is the effect of the hustle culture in our society. For those who may not know, the social culture is the belief that the more you work, the more success you'll have, which push people to optimize every second of their lives. In order to maximize the gain, you gotta maximize the effort. It joins the idea of a meritocracy, a notion widespread in today's age, where every success is equal to a certain effort. The weirdest thing is that when I wanted to take a break or just chill, I felt that I was wasting my time, that I was wasting my whole life. Either resting was some sort of task that I had to accomplish to feel that I figured it all. Either resting was just the fact that I was freaking exhausted, so I needed to rest, but I couldn't. Like, it was wrong morally, because this incapacity of doing was seen as an obstacle and was told to be an obstacle that will prevent me to attain those achievements that I want to attain. And you know what else? If I felt that something was so easy to do, then either I wasn't doing it well, either I was doing it wrong. Life cannot be easy. I didn't feel that I have the right to feel that I'll pass an exam if I didn't study 16 hours a week for this exam Like, how could I pass such an hard subject if I didn't pull all-nighter after an all-nighter? And the case was even worse when the subject was just pretty easy to learn and to understand. It felt that I didn't have the right to enjoy my life doing the process of attaining XYZ purpose. But is this what life is meant for? Is this what life is felt for? I don't think so. We always hear people at the since our youngest age telling us, oh, you will find your purpose in life. Even movie series, everything. But what if there's no purpose to life? I believe that we all, low-key, share the same purpose, which is living and existing. Like, come on, life isn't a quest that you should accomplish or resolve. There is no such thing as finding your purpose. At least, not necessarily. Finding a purpose itself is a privilege. And like every privilege, some people get to have it and others not. In my case, I am aware to have this privilege. You know, this privilege of dreaming to become someone, to have a specific job or a specific career, or even the privilege to just stress over a specific exam in order to get a specific chance or opportunity. Maybe I am not as privileged as this billionaire that gains millions and millions by doing literally nothing, but still, I do have some kind of privilege. The privilege of choosing. So, about the finding your purpose. Could you tell to a dad working from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. to go and find his purpose when he's already busy trying to make a living and trying to feed his children? Or could you tell to this young lady that will never get the chance to run in the flowers field during spring because she's sick and she knows there's no cure to her illness to go and find her privilege? Maybe there's no such thing as finding a purpose, but rather living through our existence. I gave you examples of people that are struggling so much. And you know, they do have dreams, and they are certainly, like everybody, dreaming about fulfilling those dreams. But do you really think that they can afford this fulfillment? I'm not saying that their life is doomed or their existence is meaningless, stuff like that. No. What I'm trying to say is that not everybody can afford to choose what they can accomplish or what they want to do. And the thing with side hustles and those people that are struggling, do you really think that their struggles will necessarily lead them to the achievement that they want to accomplish? I'm not trying to say that their lives are miserable and that their existence is doomed. Not at all. What I'm trying to say is you cannot fix a standard of success when not everybody has the same privileges and chances to start with. Not everybody is able to free a country, not everybody is able to fund a new cure, not everybody is able to change the government. Likewise, not everybody is able to follow and to keep up with the hustle culture. Each person has its own journey and most of all, its own existence. Maybe I'm rambling, but what I'm trying to say is that life is just meant to be lived. No more, no less. And that implies struggles, achievements, joy, anger, sadness, etc., etc. But you gotta understand that those things are not necessarily equal to a result, at least not in this lifetime. If you are religious, then you certainly, I think, believe that everything that happens has a reason or a reward, a meaning. And this reason or reward could be applied here on the afterlife. Still though, in this hypothesis, you cannot understand why the XYZ thing happened because you cannot apply its meaning to the afterlife. If you take, for example, Islam, this is the easiest example for me. Allah tells us that nothing is here just to be here. But in our case, Allah is the all-knowing, things that we are not. And same principles goes to Christianity and Judaism, and I think even other religions. Either way, we cannot dictate and understand what is for why or for what. The only thing that I know and that I can do is just live day by day. That's it. Of course, I can find some purpose to my life, but this purpose is not what my life has to revolve around, or what my life is meant to. And this, for example, in Islam is the concept of tawakkul, which is also present in Christianity and Judaism. See, if I have to explain really quickly tawakkul, it's just the fact that you do what you have to do, and then you let God take care of the rest. And if you're a non-believer, it will also be the notion of doing what you have to do, and then just wait and see. You gotta detach from things at some point, like some kind of stoicism, I guess. And you gotta just stop seeing life as simple math, because it is not. Sometimes you gotta put in the effort and you will win nothing, and other times things will be so easy that you'll be surprised of even what's going on. On the other hand, do not see some ease as an indicator of some misfortune that's going to happen. The storm isn't always coming after a sunny day, and the sun doesn't always appear after a stormy day. Also, another thing, not setting a purpose because you can't or because just you don't want to is perfectly fine. Really. It's not that deep, not that serious. Just fine. Like I said, life is just meant to be lived. And to be lived is just the story that you'll write. Sometimes you will not be the only author to your story. A second author, so external causes, things that you do not have a control on, will take the pain and write a part of your narrative. And this can be helped. However, at the end of the day, it's your narrative, so you'll always have a part of saying in it. And this, no matter what. No matter what the second author chooses to write, you'll have to collaborate with him and find a story that both of you agree on. A compromise will eventually be done, and maybe you will even have to reduce your demands to find an agreement with the second author. Still, it is better to have a reduced demand than a completely ignored one. Meanwhile, other times, you will be dictating to the second author what to write, because you'll find that the situation you're in so easy, even too good to be true, to the point where the whole chapter is gonna be just yours. Nonetheless, even with external struggles, you still get to choose how to live your life by choosing how to reacting to those. And honestly, I do understand that it is not easy and that it is easier to say than to do it actually. However, even if sometimes your reaction will be limited, it still will be.